I kind of learned something through this time of unemployment. It just gave me a lot more flexibility to pursue what I wanted and structure my life the way I wanted. I've had to make changes in my life to adjust to the change that has happened, but overall, the perks of going where you want, when you want, doing the job that you want, when you want, have really been things that I've grown accustomed to and almost started to take for granted. That was until very recently. I haven't really discussed it much on this channel, but I've been looking for a more formal employment agreement. Some may even call it a job. I know we all hate that word, but for today's video, I'm probably going to be saying it a lot. I've tried to lock down a more secure position. I've looked at things that I could do to maybe get me in a better position to have a job that I don't hate or pays me enough that hating it is tolerable. And everyone tells me that the best place to find a job that will pay me well enough is not going to be Indeed. I've had a lot of run-ins with Indeed in the past, and it's been mainly only good for like serving jobs or jobs that don't require much skill. Maybe your experience is different with that, but for me, in my area, the job pool on Indeed is pretty trash. So that leaves me with really only LinkedIn. And I never understood how lucky I was to not spend much time on LinkedIn. All my jobs in the past have usually came through a friend or just like lucky random occasion. My first pizza delivery job I got through a buddy who was already a pizza delivery driver at the Pizza Hut local to me. And my broadcast engineer position was kind of something of fate. I ran into my manager in the elevator, we hit it off, and next thing I know, I was employed and started a career that lasted like 6 years. So in terms of job hunting, I'll say that I never really had to do a lot of it. So having to join in one of the worst job markets ever probably is going to skew my opinion a lot, but I just had to share my opinion because if you've been on LinkedIn, if you've been trying to get a job through LinkedIn, I absolutely feel sorry for you. There's so many things that make LinkedIn such a dystopian app to use. It's not even the fact that the website, LinkedIn itself, that's supposed to get you a job is actively laying off their employees. That's not bad enough. I mean, it says a lot about the current job market, but that doesn't affect my actual experience on the website. My main issue with LinkedIn is how they try to talk to you through this HR coded language that really makes it hard to know what they want. And even when all the requirements on the job listing apply to the skills that you have or would be a perfect fit for your skill set, it's not what they actually want. See, LinkedIn specializes in the fake corporate talk that I have grown to hate with such a passion. I remember I had this class in high school that would let you get a job and leave school early to go to that job. I can't remember the class. I think it was literally just called work release, but they would get you a job and then you would leave school early around like 12 o'clock or after lunch to go and work that job because you didn't have any more classes to take. And in my senior year, I was lucky enough to get it. I mean, I was so hyped to get it. But one part of the class, because they wouldn't just immediately let you go to work, at least not till later into the semester, the first half of the class would be them like kind of giving you corporate talk and how to act in the workplace and essentially job training for the future. And 90% of it is just how you talk, how you say things, and how you communicate with the team that you would be placed in. Essentially, they just told you how to function like a corporate puppet, how to talk to your boss in a nice manner, how to say please and thank you with every request, how to not be too aggressive in how you speak because you might just piss off HR a little too much. The terms that come to mind right away are like,
hey, let's touch base.
We should focus on the company culture.
Our company has a mission.
It just really taught you how to be a corporate shill. Talk in ways that they understand so they keep you around longer. One part of this class was like good for us because we could get a job that paid money, but it was also good for the school because they would get cheaper labor and it would make the school look good if we performed good. I mean, I'm not complaining. I had a pretty cool job looking back at it. I got placed in this art company that would take different kids' art from across the country and print it on like t-shirt and mugs. And I got to work with cameras. I got to do a lot of inventory. I got to learn a lot of things for a pretty young age and throw that on my resume. So I wasn't complaining at all, but I knew I didn't want to be working in this corporate environment and just be a shill. So it made me lean heavily into the IT/technical side of work because I knew that I wasn't going to have to talk to HR. I wasn't going to have to talk to sales, and I was going to be with more realistic people. And for the most part, my experience in my last job was largely corporate talk free, and there was no real talk of a company culture or mission. I was able to do my job and leave. That's not to say I did not have a lot of problems with my last job, but that was not one of them. But jumping on LinkedIn in 2026, it's kind of all hitting me at once, and it's really insufferable. I mean, getting a bunch of job rejections rejection emails is not very encouraging, but I've heard other people's experiences and I was kind of prepared for that. So I'm not taking that badly. To land a good job, you're going to have to probably put in like 500 to 1,000 applications. And I was well prepared for that. Something that I really wasn't warned about was the amount of BS posts that people will put on LinkedIn with like fake hopium, especially because I've reported on the state of the job market and layoffs on this channel numerous times. I mean, you go through my channel and it won't be hard to find. But when I cover these layoffs, it's usually regarding companies who work with AI or are tech companies for the most part, like Amazon, Microsoft, a lot of the big players. And I'm pretty sure that all the employees of these companies are on LinkedIn just talking to each other all day. LinkedIn doesn't just have jobs you can apply for. They have a section of the website that's kind of like Facebook where you can just kind of talk to each other and make posts. But it's even worse than Facebook because it's not just a bunch of boomers talking about some fake AI video they fell for or can't tell the difference if it's real or not. It's a bunch of people, a variety of age, just posting AI nonsense that is like, the job market may be tough, but it gets better. Never give up on yourself. The whole time, the people posting this are the HR recruiters and hiring managers that just laid off 10,000 people. And they do it in the most nonsensical way possible. I mean, I remember a couple days ago, I ran to a post from a recruiter on LinkedIn that said, layoffs are not a bad thing. They're actually a place to reinvent yourself and start over. This sounds good on paper, but imagine you just got laid off, your future is in jeopardy, you don't know where you're going to go next, and you see how bad the job market is, but Lauren at Amazon is telling you that this layoff is actually a blessing, and you should be happy that you just lost your career. Saying that they're spitting in your face would even be the half of it. And if you think AI is bad on YouTube or on Twitter or on any other website, it's way worse on LinkedIn. Everybody, even the best of the best on there, do not post their own things. It feels like the robots are talking to the robots, and that kind of goes for the application process as well. A lot of people know that when you apply to a job, you have to have certain markers checked off so the AI doesn't automatically reject you. And like, that's bad enough. It's very sad knowing that you could send in 100,000 applications, but only 50 of them will actually get through to the hiring manager because the AI that these companies use are so aggressive that they filter so much that you could be the perfect candidate, but it just might not get through their system. And there might be a reason for that. I'm not going to attack that process 100%. Obviously, I'm looking for a job, so I'm going to scrutinize it more than a hiring manager would, but just the amount of AI on LinkedIn is pretty sad. Everybody knows what that website is for. It's not a Facebook, but because there's really no jobs to be had, it's become a Facebook. But it's the Facebook of hustle culture. Everybody on there talks about taking on larger projects, doing more, working overtime that's not paid for, going above and beyond for a company that is ready to replace you whenever it's convenient. They talk about doing 12-hour days. They talk about working on your day off, giving the job 110%, and also celebrating layoffs. It's a really weird dynamic that website has built up. And now that they have this premium feature, it feels like if you're trying to use the website for free, then you're paywalled from opportunity, which is way darker than it sounds. Imagine you're qualified for the job that you're applying to, but because you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you won't even show up at the top of the stack. You'll just have to hope that the hiring manager gets through the first 5,000 people that have Premium before she gets to the free users. It's like, I understand that America has destroyed a lot of aspects of life by commodifying everything, but this whole pay-to-play scheme that they have with jobs and opportunity and careers really spits in the face of the land of opportunity, what we used to call this nation. I've heard people paying to apply, and many people laugh at that. When I first heard about it, I did too, because what is the logic in paying to apply for a job that you may not even get? And I know some people don't even know that's a thing, but yeah, some jobs require you to pay to apply to get them. No guarantee that you will, but there is a fee for the application process. I know that sounds crazy, but the way that LinkedIn is doing their job hiring right now is really not much different. You either pay the $40 a month, I think it is, for LinkedIn Premium to get all these different bonuses like placing you at the top of the job stack, letting the hiring manager see your application directly, and all these other perks that in my opinion should not be perks. The job should just go to the most qualified candidates. But LinkedIn, the predatory website that it is, sees that it has a monopoly on jobs and does what every other monopoly in America does and weaponize themselves. And even through all the weaponization and commodifying that they're trying to do, the way to get a job is still still the same way it was 10 years ago. It's word of mouth or knowing somebody who already has the job. And many people already know this. Having a direct contact to the job makes you like 50% to 100% more likely to actually get that job, because the hiring manager will kind of trust the person that's recommending you and just go off trust. Whereas if you know nobody and you put in an application, you have to do a follow-up call to make sure they even check your application. Then you have to do a follow-up to make sure that they don't forget you in the stack of applications. And you're essentially fighting to get noticed no matter how qualified you are. All of this has kind of really just put a bummer on me for the entire week. I haven't been meaning to not upload, but I've been trying to get things more in order. I have a lot of stuff coming up, and I don't know, getting a job would make things a lot easier, especially with the prices of everything going up. But seeing what the job process has become, seeing the trials and tribulations you have just to even get an interview, really makes it feel like you're just taking shots in the dark and hoping that something hits. I mean, in this month that I've been applying, I've gotten some recruiters to reach back out. I've had some phone calls, but every time you have these phone calls, it seems like they want you to go above and beyond to pay you as little as possible. I remember one of the jobs I applied to, I got a call the very next day from their senior recruiter, and the conversation went really well. It was for a tier 2 help desk position, and I remember in the conversation that she just went on telling me how my broadcast engineering expertise really would help in this position because they also have a broadcast team, and she really liked all the skills that I highlighted in my resume, and the way I talked showed her that I knew what I was talking about, showed her that I was interested in the position that I was applying for, which many people she talked to in this process did not show. From those words alone, you would assume that I was a perfect shoo-in for the position, and I just had to maybe do another formal in-person interview and we were good. But before we did the interview, she asked me what my salary range was, and I told her that I'm looking for like $80,000 to $90,000. It's pretty average for the job and was actually lowballing what the industry standard was in my state. And once I said that, I remember not hearing back for 2 days, and then on the third day, I remember getting a very long email, maybe 4 paragraphs long, telling me how I fit the position, I knocked the conversation out the park, she could really see my eagerness to get ready and work on the job, and how I could be a good team player for them, but they just did not have the compensation package I was looking for. At first, I wanted to respond and say, hey, I'm flexible on payment and I'm willing to discuss compensation, but as I was typing the email to respond and say that, I kind of just felt like, what type of man am I if I'm willing to lower my standards even though I hit everything out the park? 80 to 90,000 may sound like a lot to a younger guy who has not really had a career yet, but once you've worked at jobs, you know that you have commute, you know that you have to survive, you know that you have to pay bills and you know, have an adult life. It doesn't make sense to undercut yourself just to secure a job where you know they're going to overwork you. Many people might see this as like a bad mindset and any opportunity is worth taking, but when you apply to a Fortune 500 company that's not hurting for money but tells you that, hey, we can't pay you the extra $5,000 that you would need, even though you're our best candidate so far, it makes you wonder what type of jobs you're even hunting for. Are you hunting for a career that actually wants to see you grow and prosper for them, or are they just looking for somebody who's willing to put themselves down enough that they can fit into that company culture? And that's the real part that pisses me off, because we're talking about company culture, we're talking about the mission and all these things that come through this corporate speak and fake nonsense, but all the things required to have a healthy company culture and achieve a mission worth achieving would require them to value their employees more than they do the dollars that they're making in. I know they're a company, I know they have to make a certain amount of money to survive, but when the company makes double, triple, 5 times that every year, why do I have to negotiate myself down to fit into your mold? I don't know, some people might hear this and just be like, Ghost, you're a communist, you should dumb yourself down to fit into the job no matter what, the job is more important than anything. But I don't know, self-respect is something that you either have or don't have. You either stand up for yourself when it matters or you just give up every time. And that email really just showed me that this job hunt is probably going to be harder because maybe I do have an ego, maybe I do have some type of like complex in my head that doesn't allow me to accept less than what I expect, but I'm not going to take scraps if I don't have to. I'm not at the worst place yet, I'm not super desperate, so I'm going to keep applying, keep trying. But yeah, I don't wish LinkedIn on my worst enemy. I mean, the whole website seems like it's built to rage bait you into getting mad or rage bait you to lie as much as they do. I mean, I've covered on the fakeness of all the conversation on how people talk and act on there, but the way people just lie about the jobs they did is insane. I remember making a video in the past jokingly saying, yeah, lie on the application, and that was just more so saying like, change the details or maybe exaggerate a little bit on what you did. If you were a janitor, don't say you were a janitor. Be like you were the head of sanitary needs or something, beef it up a little bit. But one scroll on LinkedIn will show you that everybody is lying about everything on there. Luckily, you can lie about certifications, so I don't see a lot of that stuff being falsely attributed to anybody, but they lie about the positions that they have, the companies that they worked at with no real verification needed. It's just, will the recruiters check? And it seems like that they don't. I've had friends who've gotten jobs off LinkedIn and they tell me all the time. I mean, it's kind of scary how many friends confirm that this is true, but they just say, yeah, no, we lied. Like one of my friends said that he worked at OpenAI. He's never held a corporate job and somehow he got a very nice job off the back of lies, because those recruiters don't check. Those recruiters would rather you lie to them and let them know what they want to hear than actually tell them the truth. And I don't know, I have not searched for a job in a while, but that is a very disheartening thing to see. I mean, it's probably good for somebody who does not have the skills or is not qualified to take advantage of that and, play the game as you will. But for somebody who tried to be somewhat open and honest and hardworking and upfront about who they are, it's weird knowing that I'll get further lying about who I am. That's not really a great feeling, but it's probably something that I'll get over. I don't know if I'm gonna, bend the knee and start lying too, but it's really weird the world that we're operating in, because I'm talking about LinkedIn, but this all kind of feels like a larger problem in America, in the world, where honesty, just kind of being a decent person, doesn't go as far. You're kind of rewarded for being toxic, for being a liar, for being all these things that you were taught growing up not to be. And, I don't think they're good things to be in the end, just because they get you further in your career or in life, I guess, this life. I don't think that they're things that you should be striving to do, but it's hard to say that when you see people benefiting from those things. So yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling. We're about 20. This is a pretty long video. Didn't really plan it, but I just had a lot of thoughts and I wanted to lay them out. It's a weird time, and I'll probably keep you guys posted on how this job hunt is going. Kind of want to have a more open and honest conversation. No real target, just kind of letting my thoughts fly off. But yeah, if you made it this far in the video, let me know down below in the comments. Yes, I do read the comments. Do you agree or disagree with what I said? Is LinkedIn just that bad, or should I just start lying like everybody else? If you haven't already, like and subscribe to join the channel. Every subscription gets my dog a treat, and man, he's hungry. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.